know you don't message me. And after all, you're my wonderwall. What's up, guys? I am vlogging from kind of a balcony area. Can you guys see me? From a balcony area above my house, and this is kind of a new place for me. I'm really kind of nervous because this is super high. I was gonna put my phone down on the stairs and film from there, but I was super afraid that my phone was gonna fall down, and I know that it would. I tried it for a second, and I'm just not gonna take the risk. I already lost one camera. I'm not about to risk my phone and camera. But anyways, it is sunset. There's like maybe a few minutes left in the sunset, but I did want to talk about the difference between goodness and greatness. It's always been a part of my natural philosophy, but I recently read this, or I listened to this audiobook called Road to Character, and in it there's kind of two different ways to look at morality. There's the eulogy values and there's the resume values. And the eulogy values are kind of the values that you want people to remember you by, the kind of accomplishments and behaviors that you've done that, you know, at your funeral people will speak about, the stories that they'll say, you know, how they'll remember you. And then there's the resume values, the kind of glorious, victorious values that you have, kind of the accomplishments and ambition and, you know, Greek classic heroism that you've displayed. And so there's those kind of two facets to character. And, you know, the resume values are kind of the external validation values, but the eulogy values are the internal values, who you chose to become and who you chose to be and how you chose to walk in life internally based off of the way that you thought should be the way people are. And that kind of spoke to me a lot, because in my personal philosophy, I want to become good and great. I want to be a good man and a great man. And to me, that means that I'm moral and that I do well. That's goodness. And I'm great. So I leave something behind. I leave a legacy, and I conquer and I advance and I push the boundaries of the world and society. It's the exploratory consciousness, the will to power of Nietzsche, the masculine expansive idea that, you know, conquering, victory, competition, strength, those kind of ideas, except, you know, positive. You know, you don't want to do this at the expense of other people. Obviously you want to push the boundaries of society in a more expansive direction. Veni Vidi Vici, I came, I saw, I conquered. But not in the sense of imperialism where, you know, other people are put down or they're stifled because of you. Conquering means overcoming difficulty, struggle, suffering, and transcending, going to the next level, leveling up, becoming stronger, and battling demons. That's what conquering is to me. And there's a plane. Oh, I missed it, but you can see its streak. I actually really like being in high places because it gives you a bird's eye view about the world. It's nice. But anyways, in my life, I want to accomplish both of those kind of values. I want to be good and great. So let's dive into both concepts. So goodness to me is essentially walking in the name of God. And I know that sounds kind of religious or kind of theistic, but it doesn't have to be. It can be a secular idea. Personally, my beliefs about religion at the moment are that, you know, religion is a useful fiction, and that the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are probably the most accurate in terms of, you know, they have the most kind of grip on the human psyche, society psyche. And, you know, obviously religion is the opiate of the masses, according to Nietzsche. But I don't think that's a bad thing. It's a very healing thing. It's necessary, and it's a gift that we have. It's a collection of human wisdom passed down through story, and it's deeply important, but it can be obstructive because it gets in the way of progress. But then again, we can't be too fast to change, otherwise we'll adopt an unstable system and implode. So it's a very complicated issue, and I can make a whole video about it, but that's my brief, in summary, view of religion. And since I do find religion useful, it's like a mythology almost that gives you collective wisdom. That is what I believe religion is useful for, and it's good. Being good is walking in the name of God, because religion says how it is best to behave. That is not a science. That's not something that can be mathematically determined. There's no mathematical morality that is purely logical. There's no fundamental morality that is underpinning the truth of the reality. It's just that religion says, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Eastern, Western philosophy, whatever flavor of the same ideas you want to speak about, those ideas, basically those codes, are behavior patterns that have been passed down through storytelling, and they've been noticed and spoken and written. 10 Commandments, they've been observed and become aware because they've been repeated so often successfully that these behaviors are kind of the gold standard, the behaviors that are actually good. And so religion tells us how best to behave, and that's the way I kind of look at it. So that's what I look at being good as. About being great, that's kind of what I look at in terms of Greek myths, the Odyssey, Odysseus, Achilles. These are kind of the heroic myths. These are what being a hero is. This is greatness. This is conquering. This is Alexander the Great. This is erecting statues in libraries and museums, creating history, building cities, building skyscrapers, space exploration. These kind of ideas, that is greatness. That's leaving something for the world. That is becoming something that is great, that is looked up to, that athletes become, that is achieved through hard work and success and overcoming. And that's what it means to be great. So I look at life as being good and great, and in kind of the framework that Road to Character displays about the eulogy versus the resume values. Resume character or morality, the goodness is the eulogy self, the greatness is the resume self. Whatever kind of dimension you want to look at it, you can also look at it in terms of the ego versus the non-ego. The ego is the external resume values, and the non-egoic idea of character is the internal. And I can talk about more about Eckhart Tolle, about how the ego is a survival kind of mechanism, and that the ego is actually a tool that we use to survive, self-preservation tactic, that it's a self-preservation program that actually is an operating system that runs our minds. But if you want to achieve the more higher levels of consciousness, you would have to kind of dispose or dismiss the ego. I mean, obviously the ego is useful and you should use it as a tool, but when it becomes over-encompassing, then that's when it gets obstructive. Just like religion, you can use it to grow, but don't let it, but it's like Wittgenstein's ladder. You use it to climb up the ladder, but once you've gotten to a certain height, you must throw away the ladder, because at that point it's just dragging you down and it's just a weight. So the ego is a thought that we become attached to, that we believe is ourselves, but really the ego is actually a self-preservation modality, a self-preservation program that we've learned to have in order to plan for the future and have a representation of the world in terms of our own resources. And so that's how we were able to build traps to, hunt prey, because we can think in the future, and we have to think in terms of ourselves in order to think about the future. And so that's where the idea of the ego comes from. But once you do away with, or allow yourself to experience the suchness of life, as the Buddha calls it, and you don't have to worry about survival, then you can allow yourself to experience the higher planes of consciousness, where you can dissolve the idea of the ego and allow yourself to be free, But that's quite a tangent from goodness and greatness. And I can do a whole video about that. You know, I'm kind of spitballing a whole bunch of ideas that are swirling around in my head. I do have a whole bunch of influences and thoughts that are coming to me, and I do want to kind of distill them into more concentrated ideas that I can speak about in more specific and granular videos, and I'll do that in the future. But I feel kind of like Jason Silva right now with my mind being able to speak unself-edited. But anyways, the sunset is coming in, but I wanted to explain those ideas between goodness and greatness. And the thing is that they're not mutually exclusive, right? So you can be good and great. And the thing is, you might think, okay, you know, I have to be Atlas Shrugged, I have to be, you know, Randian, Ayn Rand, I have to be selfish in order to become great, but being selfish means I can't become good. Well, that's not necessarily true. The thing is, you have to be a balance between the two. Achieving greatness will leave you hollow inside. Achieving goodness will allow you to be fulfilled internally, but you might, at the end of your life, have accomplished nothing of significance after. But if your goal in life is to just be happy and to live a satisfied life, then that's fine for you. But for me personally, I am ambitious and I do want to leave something after myself. Call it the will to power, call it whatever you want. But you know, exploratory consciousness, masculinity. But I want to be good and great, and that doesn't mean I have to sacrifice being good in order to be great. It just means that I can't be humble until I have succeeded. Every time I reach the next level, I take a step back and do something good and give back. And I do that iteratively. So work on myself, grow, get to the next level, stay there for a little bit, give back, and then work on myself again, grow, take a step back and give back again. So you can be good and great at the same time. You just have to do it in stages. But anyways, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about in this video. So it does look like the sun is about to set, as you can see. But that's where I wanted to leave this video at. I can go into more detail about all of these topics. This was kind of a primer to all of these ideas, and I want to dive deeper into them in future videos. But let me know what you guys think about it. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Leave your comments down below. Am I crazy? Do you guys agree with my distinction between goodness and greatness? What do you guys think about religion? Is it a useful fiction? Is that offensive? Is that obvious? I don't know. Are you a Western philosopher, an Eastern philosopher? What do you subscribe to? What do you think about my ideas? I want to hear about it. Let's have a discussion. But anyways, if you learned anything new or were entertained, like this video and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss next week's video. And as always, I love you guys, and I will see you next Thursday. Peace.
Ever